Ladies and gentlemen, all of you people from planet Earth to planet Mars, welcome to the Mindreader Media Podcast. My name is St. James, and today I have a very, very, very special guest. You may have seen him over various forms of social media, from YouTube all the way down to TikTok, and it is my astute pleasure to bring to you T. Terrence, DaPoets, McKelvey. Oh, what's up, brother? How you doing today?
Doing very well. Good to see you in Los Angeles.
Exactly.
I'm glad you finally made it to the studio.
So I mean, I thought I was ready for LA traffic.
No, nobody's ever ready for LA traffic.
I am not ready for LA traffic.
I've been living here for 7 years now, and no, I still use my GPS. Even though I know where to go,
right?
I use my GPS to tell me what's the fastest way to go based on car accidents and fires and wherever.
yeah, arson, alien attacks, movie shootings.
Exactly.
And it's like you have to be prepared for everything, but LA traffic is life.
Yeah, it's different.
It's not what they taught me in GTA.
No. And this is like different from like Toronto traffic or New York City traffic. This is just LA traffic is just different.
It's just different.
Yeah.
You always got something to look at, though. So that's what I like. It's always something picturesque.
Yep. Blue sky and sun.
But originally you're from where, though?
Buffalo, New York, brother.
Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
So go Bills. All right. All day. Already.
We do have a table right here.
Exactly. And I'm looking at it, you know, if you're from Buffalo, for those of you listeners and all of you who are watching worldwide, you never look at a table the same. Like you'll walk into Costco and be like, yeah, I could break that. I could break that.
Yep. I've seen cars with stickers of just broken tables.
All day.
I was like,
nice.
That's nice.
Nice. That is awesome.
I'm not breaking the table on my back, but you know, it's nice to support the Bills Mafia.
But here's what's interesting. Now there's more bandwagoners than there ever were before.
Oh, of course. Of course.
Like they're ready. Like people are pushing for them. Everybody wants them to win. They've slowly, even though they've never won a championship, they have become almost like America's team.
I mean, it's Buffalo, New York. I mean, there's not much to not like about Buffalo, to be honest. You know, some of the best food in the country is in Buffalo.
Right.
Decent music. I will say that. A lot of 4 seasons of stuff to do in Buffalo.
Yes.
I will say that. That is something that I kind of miss being here in LA. You know, Buffalo summers, I miss. Falls, I kind of miss. Springs can be messy. My last winter in Buffalo, though, we had 8 feet of snow in 24 hours. Oh, that's when you were here. That was my last winter there. Yeah. And
that was the snowpocalypse.
I was like, peace.
I am done here. That's it. I'm gone. Yeah. See you later.
Exactly.
Well, that's cool. I mean, obviously I floated back and forth myself, but when the time that you were in Buffalo, you went to high school here. There.
Yeah.
What were you voted in high school?
Was I voted in high school? Well, high school was interesting for me because I started at one school and then finished up at a school that I loved, which was Amherst High School.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first school, I'm not even going to mention it because it was just a bunch of silly racism stuff going on.
Oh, now you have me intrigued.
Things have changed from what I understand with that school, so I'm not going to throw them under the bus.
Was it public or private school, though?
Private school.
Okay. Yep. So it's a private school. Yep. So it was probably...
just private school.
Okay.
And then... but I grew up going to private schools. Like I went to Mount St. Joseph Academy, like an elementary school. I had fine times and all that stuff, but just that high school was a little different. Right. And then, but I went to Amherst High School. That was just beautiful because all my friends were there because I lived in the neighborhood in Amherst. And so I played soccer and football and track and all that stuff. Just loved all of it. I was one of those kids that was friendly with everybody.
Nice.
You know, so I'll be a jock one moment. And then I'll happily be a jock cheerleader, you know, throwing the cheerleaders up for the pep rally or dabbling with the chess team or the computer science stuff. Like I was just kind of dabbling with all the different groups.
So you weren't a social butterfly, you were a social moth because like you could just fit in.
I could do everything.
Everywhere.
Yeah,
awesome.
I enjoyed it. Even in middle school, I used to do the assembly committee where I would announce the assemblies for the whole school, you know, just be up on stage and all that stuff.
That's only because you're the only guy whose voice...
Hold on. That's because you're the only guy whose voice is deeper than mine. So they were like, let's put this dude on the radio.
Deep in middle school.
Oh,
you know?
What a weirdo.
Yeah.
Oh, man, but that's good.
It was fun times. So I do love Buffalo. But, you know, everybody has their stages in life. So now I'm an LA guy. I still keep my office. I have an office in Buffalo, New York, downtown. Okay. So I guess we kind of skipped the part. I am a certified financial planner, chartered financial consultant, chartered retirement plan specialist, chartered retirement planning counselor.
Okay.
So alphabet soup after my name, long story short, meaning I'm a partner in a wealth management firm.
Right on.
So we mentioned the Buffalo Bills. The Bills have brought me in numerous times to do the financial education for the rookies.
Okay.
So the whole rookie class will come in. I'll do a workshop for them and then sit with them one-on-one to talk about budgeting, how to basically manage their finances. And those that stay in the league,
Right.
obviously have an opportunity to be my clients on an ongoing basis if they choose to as well. And then that's not really my forte, though. My forte is just retirement. Anybody that just needs to save money or is in retirement, I like to help with their portfolios overall. Sports players have a different need, because
Right.
you don't know how long that money is going to last coming in. Therefore, we need to kind of save it as long as possible because they could be playing for 3 weeks or 10 years. You just don't know, right?
Or like that son of a bitch, Brady. Won't retire. The nerve.
Hey, some people have talent and they just keep playing, and they're lucky not to get hurt or like any ailments or anything like that. That's cool. I have some alumni as clients, which is nice. So I've gotten to be a lot of good friends with a lot of alumni that I grew up to, looking up to, which was just dumb cool.
Right. Hall of Famers.
Yeah, and it's weird. It's really weird. Like coming on my way here, I'm calling some people. I'm just like, hey, are you in town for the Bills game and all that stuff? But 15 years ago, I would have been like starstruck,
Okay.
And I'm just like, dude, call me back. You suck,
Okay. I got
So
you.
it's different now. And I try not to say any names due to like confidentiality for the investment firm stuff. But if you look on like my personal Twitter, you'll see photos of like other players and I just playing golf, or like I even became friends with Goldberg of all people.
What?
Bill Goldberg? Yeah.
He cares about his money? I'm so offended.
Just from like going to like golfing events with Buffalo Bills stuff and other stuff, we just kept running into each other, and now I'm just like, hey, Bill, what are you up to? And it's
nice.
It's weird, being in a position like that. Now, part of it is dumb luck, right place, right time, meeting certain people. At others, it's just the grind. I first got licensed in 1997.
What? Whoa.
Yeah.
97.
97. When I first got licensed in the financial industry in Pennsylvania when I was at Lincoln University studying economics.
So you were still in school?
Still in school, got licensed.
What drove you to do that? You were just bored and was like, you know what? Let me get licensed for something real quick.
Something like that. I'm glutton for punishment, So I bought my first stock when I was 16, right?
Okay.
So it was Atari. And my father and we bought it through America Online's trading platform way back then.
Wow. Why are you dating yourself this way?
Yeah. It was
every 20-year-old who was like, ooh, he's cute, was like, oh, you could be like my older brother, or where's my dad? Okay.
Yeah. It was interesting using our AOL minutes, the CDs in order to do it. Yep.
You were Mr. Dial-Up. Okay.
Yeah, this is dial-up back in the day. And so we bought Atari at $9. I think we sold it at $12 like a month later.
Oh.
Because like the Atari Jaguar system was coming out at the time. And
that's right.
So that was kind of like a taste of like what the stock market can do.
Right.
And then my favorite class in high school at Amherst was economics. I had a great professor. Mm-hmm. And then I chose to be an economics major in undergrad at Lincoln University. And that's just south of Philly. Actually, the nation's first HBCU.
Really?
And, yeah.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yep. 1854 is when Lincoln was founded.
Okay, go fight in Lincoln. Way to go.
Lions, yep.
Okay.
And had a great time at Lincoln. And some lifelong friends I've definitely made. Mm-hmm. And fraternity, Omega Psi Phi.
Okay.
Yep. And then, and my father's an Omega man as well.
Hey, so was my dad.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I know that. And this has just been an interesting journey, being in the cornfields of, Pennsylvania, Amish buggies, and then somebody pulls up next to an Amish buggy playing Wu-Tang music,
Well, you know what they call Pennsylvania?
What?
Pennsyltucky.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because you've got your two major population centers, and then next thing you know, it's nothing but woods and bare feet.
Yep. And I got all kinds of stories with that. But, just like driving on like 101, or was it 101 or Route 1, old Route 1 or something like that at 2 o'clock in the morning, and something just hits the side of my car.
What is it?
I have no idea to this day. But my car was trashed. I was able to still get to the university.
It's probably
But I'm just like... Yeah, I'm doing like 65 miles an hour on the little rinky-dink highway. And I'm like, I'm not getting out in this potential Klan country right here.
but here's the thing, though. That's something that we, as people of color, black people, whatever you want to put the classification of, you have to be concerned about things like that.
Oh yeah.
And even in especially in rural areas of Pennsylvania where you can not be seen again if you do the wrong thing.
Especially in the mid-90s back then.
Especially.
No.
Cell phone video cameras weren't around. There was no real GPS that was mass available.
Yep.
There was a lot of issues with that. And I mean, now we're seeing it being documented more, and people are still getting away with that stuff on camera.
Yeah.
And I mean, and this is not a slight against any, law enforcement. We all know every position, every job, there's people who do their job exceptionally well. And some people who need a little bit of coaching.
I like that terminology. You need some coaching.
You need some coaching.
Yes.
Now, I know somebody at home is like, no, you know what the hell they need. And, all right. I hear you. I hear you for sure.
But, law enforcement tends to be a reflection of that local area. Put it that way.
Exactly.
So I just knew that, okay, something hit my car. I'm not stopping at 2:00 in the morning. Can't see nothing. I'm just going to keep going until I'm back on campus.
There you go.
And then I'll see what happens next day.
Exactly. And then next thing you know, we find out it was a cannonball.
Yeah. I think it was a deer, though, for those that are wondering.
Well, somebody had venison that.
Yeah. And
so you mentioned that you've worked with a lot of pro athletes, and I want to take it down that road just really briefly here. So with professional,
just because there's a Bills game tomorrow.
So. You're probably. What is some of the biggest mistakes, and what are some of the frequent successes that you see with clients who are in this? Because let's face it, a lot of these guys, this is the first time that they've seen 100,000, 1 million, and they don't understand the tax implications that come with making that much money.
I think the biggest frequent hurdle is when you have a student that is doing well in sports in undergrad, and then suddenly they have the potential to have a nice career in the NFL. At that point, they may have never even opened up their own checking account before.
Wow.
So there's a lot of just finance 101 that needs to be really talked about and shown the importance of. So I may go through a couple of workshop scenarios of, hey, now you have an uncle, that you barely knew is calling to like, hey, I'm so proud of you. Let's go do this and that. And suddenly it's like,
by the way, you're paying the bill.
Yeah. Or old friends coming out of the woodwork. No, some of it is going to be common sense. Who your lifelong friends that are your ride or dies. Like whether you're doing well in life or you're struggling, they're your boys. They're going to be there for you.
Right on.
Or your girls, whatever.
Your people.
Your people. Yes.
We're in LA, so we have to literally put the umbrella up and say your people,
your rainbows, whatever. I don't care. But then there's going to be people that are going to be your real pushing people, like in terms of, let me say it this way, they're going to jump on the bandwagon but push you to do the best that you can be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people don't really realize that because everybody's busy in life, and then suddenly you're like, oh, like I know Fred. And I'm proud of what he's doing, but I may be able to help him get to the next level.
Okay, this is
that's the thing that people don't always realize. They're like, oh, so and so is just now jumping on the bandwagon. Like, no, they've been busy in life, but now they can actually help to contribute to this pro athlete's future.
That's a dynamic I've never heard before.
It could be like somebody like me. I'm in finance, or somebody that's an attorney, or somebody that is an influencer, or whatever it may be. Car salesman.
Well, what about even just the uncle who's like, I'll be your gopher so you don't have to go grocery shopping and do all those other things. They're part of your team. They're not necessarily being a hanger on, but they're providing you with that opportunity for you to hone your craft. Yeah.
Your real ones want to see you succeed.
Okay.
And they may come in and out of your life throughout the decades that you're alive, or 100+ years.
Right on.
And sometimes people are in your life for a very specific period of time for a specific reason. And so that is something that when that happens, you need to hold on to it, understand it, make sure like you understand that this is that time period, and weed out the ones that are just truly riding the bandwagon, and then they're just like, oh, gimme. Like, let me get some drinks, let me get some food, let me hang out with you and take selfies with you. Those are the people you need to be careful of. They can definitely bring you down.
I thought you was about to get all like metaphysical and high on me. I was about to be like, well, man, let me, start writing this stuff down.
So I've seen a lot, and of course, it all comes down to the individual player as well, which a huge part is upbringing. you know? And we all know the stories of certain players that have had 15 kids by like 7 different ladies and all that stuff. Yeah. It's sad when that happens.
Yeah.
I'm all for people procreating, and you can take care of your family, go for it. But if it becomes a WTF moment, like, what are you doing? Okay, then you need to slow down.
And then also listen to the advice of the people who are the people who are in your corner to see you succeed as best as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We are raised right now in a society, one that, I'm getting successful, everybody's hating on me, mass paranoia, but it's probably the ones who are telling you the news that you don't want to hear are the ones that are very, very in support of you.
Yeah. Yep. And so relationship building is big, you know, so that goes hand in hand with trust. So a lot of players may really rely on their agents and, you know, managers, stuff like that. And then they may not leave them for the whole entire time because they've built that trust factor.
Right.
Even though there could be somebody else that is better skilled and can do better by them business wise, trust is something that's hard to put a dollar amount on. You know,
very good point.
And so that's one of the things I've definitely seen. So that's why you'll see at the combines and stuff like that, agents and managers out there kind of scouting who's who, because they know if you get a relationship early, that typically stays the entire time that they're playing professionally.
That is great. That's great news, because that doesn't just apply, ironically, just to a professional athlete. Because let's just say you are that person who's in tech. Yep. And you have just sold your $1 million app, or you've just developed a $1 million, multi-billion dollar system, because now they're all out there. You're still going to be faced with a lot of these decisions, but it's actually exponentially bigger because now you're responsible for an entire team of people around you.
Yeah.
And we hear about accountants embezzling money and doing that. Do you work a lot within the tech space in terms of that capacity?
My tech space is growing very quickly, oddly enough, and not even planned. It just happened. So in the tech world, I go by DaPoets. You know, or DaPoets.
How did you get that name before we get too far?
Oh, that's my gamer tag from the 90s. So back in Lincoln University days. Yeah, way back then, there would be like Friday nights or something like that, where there would be like spoken word or poetry nights and stuff like that. And people would have different stage names, you know, and so whether it was like flow editry or poets or whatever, you know, poetical. And somebody I knew had a name like DaPoetess, and female. And I was like, oh, that's kind of hot. And so one day.
Was she hot? Did you?
She was hot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she was hot.
Do you have like her like Xbox handle? Maybe I can message her.
I don't know if she plays Xbox, so I don't know.
Okay. I'll hop on PlayStation. I'll get one eventually.
Yeah. No idea. But yeah. So one day, I'll never forget, I was loading up StarCraft.
Okay.
And because I was going to play with another one of my housemates, and we ran an Ethernet cable from my PC up the steps into his room because there was no networking.
You guys were devoted back then.
Yeah,
that's hardcore devotion.
And the username, DaPoets, just popped in my head. I was just like, okay, that might have been like 1996 or 97 or something like that when that happened. And pretty much nonstop, I've always been DaPoets.
Well,
so,
it's a brand that's all yours. You know?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
You definitely made your footprint on this big time.
Yeah. So then when I opened my TikTok account, it was kind of a no-brainer just to put DaPoets as.
But why did you go on TikTok? Because like, did you want to start dancing and being like, hey, you know, you want to be the next Cabello or whoever it is that's super huge on there?
Good question. CES 2020 was an interesting time in my life, right? So just before the world shut down, right? Okay. So CES is a consumer electronics show in Vegas. So it's the world's largest, or one of the largest tech shows. That year, there was 170,000 people that showed up.
What?
For it. Yeah, it was no joke. And so I was going through a personal transition in my life, and I was like, you know what? I always loved tech. I want to like see what CES has to offer. So I bought a Sony camera, some audio gear, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to CES and just film and put it on YouTube.
Okay.
And that's what I did. Just, I didn't know anybody. I knew just people through like watching their YouTube videos.
Right.
And before I knew it, while at CES, I was running into iJustine, Brian Tong, Marquez Brownlee, Hardware Canucks, like, Der Bauer, all kinds of like the big tech names on YouTube. And they were all like happy to see me and just like, hey, interview. Let's do an interview.
And
so,
was that supportive off the rip?
Off the rip.
Never heard of you before. You're
Nope.
just ready to get into it.
Yeah.
Let me be a nice guy and help you out.
And it was just like the moons were aligning. It was just like walking one way and then there's Marquez, and walking another way and there's iJustine. And I was just like, okay. So I just ended up doing a whole video YouTube of just interviewing these top tech talkers and all that stuff. And that was fun. And then I got to like play around with cool projects or devices, or, CES just has everything, electric cars and flying vehicles and all this stuff. So it was mind blowing to see all of that. And so I only had like 300, 400 followers on YouTube at that time, because I had just started my YouTube channel. And then my spouse at the time was showing me like her TikTok, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
She was in the entertainment industry, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, that's cool. And so she kept showing me different stuff, and I was like, you know what, let me just film my PC, put it on TikTok, because I like tech.
Yes.
And so I did that. I went to sleep, woke up the next day, and I had 5,000 followers and hundreds of comments about like, what is this PC and all that stuff. Because I built a custom water cooled high end PC. And
is
I was
this
just
Deep Blue?
Yeah, Deep Blue.
Okay.
So like Threadripper system, the nice graphics card, all custom water cooled, blue RGB lighting, all that stuff.
Okay.
And so people were just like mind blown by it, apparently. And I was just like, oh, well, let me show you more and answering questions. And now 2 years later, I'm at like 170,000 followers.
All organic.
Yeah.
You never paid for it.
Never. I don't think you can pay for followers on TikTok.
Yes, you can.
Oh, you can?
I'll pay. Trust me. That isn't the first time I paid for somebody.
I wouldn't doubt it. I'm sure there's a market for that. But yeah, all organic.
All right.
Now I have like partnerships and sponsorships by like, HP, Lenovo.
Shout them out.
So EKWB for
shout
water
out
cooling.
HP, Lenovo, graphene cooling, because I need a new computer too.
Yeah.
Please.
iBuyPower.
iBuyPower. Newegg.
Yep. Newegg.
Me. He sucks.
Oh, geez. Yep. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of them. It's a long list. So forgive me if I haven't mentioned all the list, but yeah.
I want to mention something.
Yeah.
Your whole personality, I don't want to say it changed, but you hit another beat when you talk about tech.
It's a balance in life.
Okay.
Life is a balance. So I've been doing Taoist Tai Chi for 25 years. Right?
Very good.
So I would literally go to the temples and like open the temple, like incense, the oils, the fruit, all that stuff.
Right.
Chanting, meditations. And I learned from Master Moylan Shin, who is the Taoist monk that actually came from China into Toronto.
Okay.
So I used to drive to Toronto every Tuesday just to like, take classes and stuff. And the first location was that he built was in, the first United States location was Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
Enough. So a lot of history, a lot of instructors that spent a lot of time with him. I learned from as well, because he passed away about 2 years after I started Taoist Tai Chi way back then.
Okay.
And so where was so balance. So because of my need for balance in life,
right?
Mind you, my career being a partner in a wealth management firm where my clients literally say, "This is my life savings. Please take care of it."
Wow, that's a heck of a lot of weight. That's a lot of gravity.
Yeah, it's a lot of weight on your shoulders. And so when I'm understanding the markets or the political scene, energy needs these days, clean energy versus fossil fuel, all that stuff, everything I'm always researching comes down to how well a client can sustain themselves for retirement and then their legacy as well.
All right, fair enough.
So at the end of the day, being West Coast, the market closes at 1:00, which is not bad.
Right.
Meaning if a client calls and like, hey, I need to do XYZ. Okay, the market's closed. It's 1. Of course, I'm going to pay attention to everything the client needs to do, but I can't actually do anything until the market's open the next day.
That's right.
So that gives me a lot of time to do things, right?
Right.
So my balance is Tai Chi and then, of course, the tech. And whether I was filming or whether I am filming or not, I'm still going to build a water-cooled PC. I'm still going to want to play around with a cell phone that's brand spanking new. Folding phones, slab phones, doesn't matter.
And what phone do you have right now? That looks like a 22? Is that a S?
This is the S22 Ultra.
Okay.
In burgundy.
Oh, okay. Look at that.
Burgundy.
Samsung, send me an extra phone because.
And yep. And actually I have the Z Fold 4 in burgundy coming as well. Nice little online exclusive.
All right.
But I'm partnered with other companies too, like TCL. Like they send me phones to review, and I get invited to the TCL Chinese Theater for different events. And
Wow. Okay.
yeah, it's kind of mind blowing. Like the movie Moonfall.
Okay.
So I got invited to the red carpet for that. And we're in the suites and stuff. I forgot the main actress's name that was in Moonfall. She doesn't really matter, I guess, at this point. But like she was there, and so it's really kind of interesting being in the Hollywood scene, being able to easily see all the celebrities and stuff, but me getting introduced to this world from the tech side,
right?
Which is really interesting. So yeah, I have another event, the TCL Chinese Theater, coming up.
Okay.
Then we also have. Actually, there's just always tons of events, CES, and there was PAX West. And so there's always events that I'm able to get invited to.
Mm-hmm. Who was in Moonfall? Because now
Halle Berry. Yeah.
Dude, okay, well, that concludes the podcast because this dude just forgot who Halle Berry was, and I will never forget.
It's it's just one of those things where you live in LA, you run into I run into Jeff Goldblum and like
Halle, if you're listening to me, listen.
Halle, you look beautiful that night.
Halle,
actually.
You know what?
Yep.
I'm a good guy. I'm a Scorpio. I like long walks to the bank. My credit score is a 720. I'm working on it. I'm not perfect.
Ladies, there you go.
My retirement account is in the modest figures, and Halle, you know what I'm saying. Back to our regular scheduled program.
Love it.
All right.
But yeah, so it's a balance. So in my own personal time, I may open up a PC and start tinkering with it, and that relieves some of the stress of here's my life savings, manage it for me type of thing. So now that the world is getting smaller with TikTok and YouTube, I can film what I'm doing and talk about what I'm doing, educating people. And for some reason, people want to watch what I have to say. I have no idea why, but they do.
Right.
And maybe they're just as weird as I am.
I strongly feel that our soul, our however you want to put it, our energies, spirit, or purpose cannot be denied. You've always been into computers, though, from a young age.
Yeah, built my first one, tinkered with my first one back in the 80s.
Okay, so that's not common.
Yeah, that's not common.
Maybe when in the 80s, I was playing around with a calculator, thinking, oh, this is cool. I made the word boobs.
Yeah, that was fun.
You remember, right?
Yep,
but there was never building it, but that was something that was inundated into you from time.
Yeah. I mean, my parents were great, and they always were like, okay, let's give opportunities to our kids, so I have 3 younger brothers. And so whether it was tennis, piano, golf, whatever, skiing, the opportunities were there for us to try different things. And then whoever ran with something, they were like, go to town.
Go with it.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting thing that you're talking about here. So let's pick this up.
Mm-hmm.
Golf, tennis, and in the 90s, soccer. Those were not traditional Black things. So I'm familiar with the concept of the only. Are you familiar with the only?
The only, no, please.
So the only is this. The only is when you are the only Black guy in the room. Were you the only female in the room? The only Black female in the room? Or it could be Latino X, whatever the term is now. I don't mean to discredit that. And because of that, it's great to be there, but it's like, why aren't there more of us here? So what was some of your only experiences?
My entire life.
But on both ends, though.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I don't even know where to start.
Let's talk about the golf. You played golf, right?
Yeah, golfing. So I was in middle school when I first started golfing. And Jim Horn was my golf instructor.
Oh, yeah, I know Jim.
Yep. Famous in Buffalo, New York. A lot of people know him. He's still teaching to this day, I think, right?
Jeez Louise, okay.
Yeah. And he would just take me to the ECC campus, big field, and we'd just start hitting the balls.
Ripping them, okay.
Yeah. And that's how I started. And I loved it. Partly because golf is one of the only games you can't win. You can only play.
Oh.
All right. So if you think about it that way, it's just you and the ball. You know, it doesn't matter what everybody else is doing. You know, your score is your score. So I never cared about what your handicap is. I think that's BS. Like, you hit the ball. Did it go in the hole? Yes or no? You know, it's straight math.
Right.
And it's very peaceful. I like to walk as much as possible. Sometimes, you know, the tournaments and stuff, you have to do the carts, which is fine too. It's a good social outing as well. So I've done plenty of like the Jim Kelly, you know, Buffalo Bills former quarterback, Jim Kelly golf tournaments, Bills tournaments, Urban League tournaments. And those were always fun, good social outings type of thing, where there's no stress on like only get the best score. No, everybody's just out there having fun and socializing. I like that. But yeah, golfing in Buffalo was kind of interesting because depending on which golf course I would go to, I'd come back to my car and all of 4 of my tires would be flattened, you know, just my car.
But mind you, this is Buffalo, a blue collar city in New York State, which is typically known as a blue state, unless you go out into the rural areas.
You don't even really need to go to rural areas. I mean, I lived in Tonawanda, where like there would be Tonawanda Canal Fest. I liked where I lived, you know, physically closed my door. I liked where I lived. But then you go to the Canal Fest and there's Confederate flags flying on the boats there and stuff.
It was a sundown town.
It was interesting,
right?
Know? They're just interesting.
You can be nice about it. I'm not going to be nice about it at all. It was a sundown town.
It was interesting, and Buffalo's only this big. So what I'm saying, Tonawanda or downtown Buffalo, that's what 10-minute drive.
Exactly.
You know? So it's not like it's LA where you're like way over there and then way over there, and you know traffic in between.
Absolutely,
it's a different world. And then, of course, for 15 years, I had locks, you know, dreadlocks going down, you know, half my back or my shoulders and stuff. And so, you know, I have experiences of, say, building a bank branch, you know, from scratch. And me coming in from, at the time, coming from Merrill Lynch, because KeyBank is the name of the bank. I don't care if whatever. They were like, hey, we see you in the papers and all that stuff, doing well at Merrill Lynch. Will you build us this bank branch?
Okay.
So they courted me. Courted me.
They didn't corner you because then it's like, we're going to give you money or else.
Yeah.
That doesn't make too much sense.
I was like, yeah, sure. Build a bank branch. Who would say no to that, right? If you're in finance, that's a cool opportunity. And so because of like my titles at Merrill Lynch and previous companies, I'm coming into KeyBank and I had a certain title that was pretty high. And that's the known accepted norm, I guess. When you come in with the title, that new corporation keeps your title or something similar, right?
Okay.
And so with me being a finance background at Merrill and other investment firms in the past, my branch was knocking out the investment numbers so badly, I'll put it that way. Like we were like top of the charts, like everybody's down here, we're up here because of how they rated certain things. And I'm just like, oh, I could do this, and boom, we're way up here.
Wow.
And they're like, how is Terrence doing all this and stuff? And so we have the first like regional KeyBank branch management, you know, outing or whatever with all the branch managers there, and they asked me to speak on like how the heck I'm doing all this stuff, and almost none of them had seen me before. You know, you see, they just seen the name Terrence. You're like, oh, okay, and then it's me with dreadlocks, you know,
and they were not ready for it,
and there was so much under the radar like backlash, like going to my management about like, hey, you know, like I want to be this title now and all this stuff. Like, yeah,
so it was a lot of jealousy.
It was nasty, and a lot of people were great. You know, my management team were great, but I could see
but some needed
else.
coaching.
I was like, holy cow. And then I also have a big moral compass. I'll put it this way. In my current firm and my last firm, I was a fiduciary. I am a fiduciary, meaning everything that I do for my clients is in their best interests. Right? It's the highest legal standard for ethics, basically. And so banks typically don't care about that, right? So there's two different standards: fiduciary standard and suitability standard. Suitability standard is we're going to issue this product suitable for you. You're fine. Go away. You're fine, right?
Okay, but before we go down here, I just want to say, so fiduciary, I was in real estate, so I had a fiduciary duty to my clients.
Right.
Meaning that I'm not going to tell you to buy something that is way out of your budget, even though it's within my best interest.
Right.
You're saying the same thing. So you're saying like some of these banks are maybe not working in the best interest. I'm going to try and say this gently because I don't want to.
At the time I was there, there were plenty of things that you could do to help clients. So, for example, the bank branch that I built was across the street from UB South Campus, right?
Okay,
so
right.
a lot of, single mothers coming in with babies, and I'm just like, hey, if anything happens to you, what happens to the baby? And so I was helping them with, cheap term insurance, getting them like $250,000, $500,000 policies, maybe like $20 a month or something like that.
That's renter life insurance, but
something they can afford. And if, their financial situation gets better later on, they can convert it to, permanent policies, stuff like that. And it made sense for a lot of that demographic.
Right.
And then, of course, there were other products that the bank would want to be pushed. And I'm just like, this doesn't sound like it's a good deal for the client. Great deal for the bank, money-wise.
Was that IULs?
I don't want to get to individual products like that, but it was just, at the time, I'm just like, this just doesn't sound right. Like, I'm not able to sleep well at night helping clients with certain products that I'm being pushed to push, right?
Okay.
So I left KeyBank. What's the best way to put it? We parted terms. Let's just put it that way.
You parted terms and parted ways?
Parted terms, and that led to
sounds
parting
like a
ways.
severance package to me. Sounds like a parachute.
It was just didn't get. I mean, if you don't get along with a philosophy,
right,
then nothing's going to work. Right, nothing's going to work. So after I left KeyBank and I saw what I wanted to do for clients, I took time off. I think it took like 9 or 11 months off from working. I was just like, no, done. Wanted to, rest my mind and all that stuff. And then
work on Tai Chi and computers.
Pretty much. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think I played a lot of World of Warcraft or something like that.
Oh, I remember those days. days.
So it was an interesting time. And from what I remember, it was just an interesting time. So many years ago.
So we're still,
but in the end, I found a investment philosophy that I loved, right? Which is put the clients first. And I'm compensated in a way where no matter what product I use, my compensation is the same. And I actually get compensated more when the client does better. And less when the client doesn't do so well, right?
Right.
So I was like, hey, that works for me. Decent product mix. I'm happy. Client's happy. Let's roll with it.
That is awesome.
So
good on you, man.
Yeah, so
good on you.
2 of those locations and then moved here to LA and built a new firm location, which is great.
Is it possible to do what you do now in a smaller town? Not even necessarily Buffalo, just in general.
Yes, because technology. The world is small.
Okay.
I do have an office in Beverly Hills, but I'm almost never in my office because all my clients are everywhere in the country. Florida, Montana, Idaho, wherever, when I do actually see a client face to face, sure, I'll go to my office then. But right now it's like the world changed so much in the last 2 years, so almost 3 years, that the way I had things set up, because I'm so technologically prone, where almost everything was already e-signatures and just fluid digitally. Right. So there was no need for me to say, here, sign this document. It was more just like e-sign, and I liked it like that. So I didn't have to have huge file cabinets from what I grew up in the industry having.
Right.
Where literally walls of file cabinets and they're heavy, and going to client file meetings and it's like files this big. I wanted to do away with that. So literally when I did see a client, it was open up my laptop. Everything is right there. Boom, boom, boom. Add to the notes.
So you had followed your passion in 2 different areas, both in econ finance and in tech. And now you're seeing convergences in those 2 different worlds.
They've always converged.
Okay. So what am I thinking?
Yeah. Right. So when I worked on Wall Street, for Citigroup years and years ago, 1999, when I worked on Wall Street.
Right.
It was basically to, long story short, simplify their billing process.
Okay.
Right. So I was analyzing what a whole department does. And a lot of it was pencil and paper back then. Mm-hmm. And I automated all that stuff in Excel and a database that I built from scratch. Right.
Shoot.
And so I was able to do that because I have the financial understanding and the tech understanding, I helped with the Y2K bug,
That was so scary for everybody.
It was.
We thought that was literally going to be
end of the
apocalypse.
World.
End of the world.
Your car's not going to start, all kinds of stuff.
The corn's not going to grow. The sun will never shine again.
Yep. So I built a database from scratch, and Microsoft Access
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I pulled from an old DataEase database and learned how to do that. I taught myself how to do it and imported it. And I think for 10 years, they were using that database that I built from scratch.
So let's take somebody.
Mhm.
They're not doing what they love. What do they need to do to find fulfillment through either your teachings through Tai Chi, through your teachings of yourself, being self-taught? What do people need to do to be able to turn that corner?
Did you watch the Into the Spider-Verse movie?
Oh yes. Wonderful movie. Wonderful.
There's that term, I don't know I'm ready. Well, it's a leap of faith.
Wow. Yes.
And, for a lot of what I've done, that's kind of what it's been, So, for example, the CFP, Certified Financial Planner Board exam, typically it takes an advisor 3 years of study time to pass all 6 prerequisite exams just so that you can qualify to take the 2-day, 10-hour board exam.
Jeez Louise.
And so when I came into Merrill Lynch, they were like, oh yeah, well, we'll pay for your CFP. It's a 3-year program typically for most people. But we'll pay for, while you're in the initial hire program for the first 6 months or something like that. Right.
Right.
So I was like, okay, so this thing costs $7,000 or $10,000 to do, but you'll pay for it if I get it done in the first few months. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and self-study, take no classes, self-study, pass all 6 exams.
Whoa.
And the 2-day, 10-hour board exam in 4 months.
Whoa.
Plus 3 additional designations in between while I'm waiting for books to come in the mail.
Dang.
So I got knocked out 4 designations in 4 months, all self-study.
But that's internal motivation.
It is, but it was also a leap of faith that I could do it.
Right on.
It wasn't just, this is the structured program that we have for new hires. It was, this is the opportunity that I see in front of me that allows me to do this, this, and this, and this. That's still in the program, but I could do more. Right. And I didn't know if I could do it.
Right.
I knew I wanted to do it. I knew that almost everybody at Merrill Lynch, they were great. I'll put it that way. But none of them had ever seen anybody pass a CFP exam that fast.
Right.
So they were like supportive. They were like, yeah, go do it.
But we know what usually happens.
Yeah, we know, it'll be sad when you don't do it, but because nobody's done it before that quickly. But man, when I got that certificate in the mail and showed management, they were so happy and proud, and they didn't doubt. They were just like, they'd never seen it before. Right. And so I kind of like to push myself with certain things when things have never really been done before. So that is part self.
Right.
But it's also part noticing opportunity. All right. So I could have definitely taken a full 3 years, paid for a lot of that myself, taken the classes and stuff. And the opportunity was knock it out now. They pay for it. And now I have these designations that are top of the industry. Like there's nothing higher than CFP for financial planning.
Right. Okay.
And then I have all the ancillary ones as well, which is cool. And all that really did was improve my knowledge base to know what I don't know. That's
very astute.
That's all those did. So when I'm like, okay, now I see this hole in this client's financial world. I can deal with these 2, but this third one, I know I need to bring in a specialist now, right? And then we can coordinate and work on other things, or I know we need to work on something with an attorney or an accountant. But when you're just coming in the industry and just getting licensed, licensing is just basics, right? And you don't know strategy, you don't know opportunities when you're just licensed. Getting those extra designations gives you that creative thought pattern of, hey, I can help this client this way, and bringing other specialists to really help the client even further. Right?
Okay.
And tech is almost the same way.
Yeah, because that was a leap of faith for you.
It was, and it was just weird, dumb luck at the same time.
Right.
Where dumb luck was TikTok was brand new. Twitter is its own world.
It came in literally at the perfect time.
It really did. There was, in terms of my age group demographic, there was no young black male doing educational tech PC content like that on TikTok. There are plenty of younger Black males and definitely a diverse mix, I'll put of races doing tech content, and we actually bonded so well. We call ourselves tech talkers. Right?
Okay. Tech talk. Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a good hashtag. I'm gonna start following that.
There you go. And so we've vibed off each other, different ideas. A bunch of us have met up at CES as well, and it's a weird tech family. I'll put it that way.
So let's go deep into tech now.
Okay.
We went deep into finance. Let's go into deep into tech. Mm-hmm. Which auto company? Okay. In 5 years, do you feel because your crystal ball is right there, it's just filled with water right now.
Mm-hmm.
Which auto company
it's half full.
5 years? It's half full. It's both. You know what I'm saying? You're a realist, just like my man Ram.
Mm-hmm.
Which auto company in 5 years is going to be the leader in the electronic car space?
That's a very fun and interesting question because tech accelerates so quickly.
Yes.
It could be a company that we don't have a name for yet.
That's true.
It could be a spinoff of Tesla. It could be Rivian. It could be all kinds just because of the acceleration of tech. And there's a company right now that I've really gotten to know called Indi, I-N-D-I.
Okay.
They're an electric car company, just starting out. But their thing is they put a whole freaking PC in the car with dual screens, full upgradable PC.
Oh, that's right.
With the capabilities of like playing games, VR, video editing, audio editing. Basically, it's like your mobile office, full blown PC.
That's incredible.
And plus they have they're a VR company at the same time. So as you're driving around, the passengers with the VR headset are playing games like killing zombies and stuff. And the whole environment is changing based on how you're driving.
You'll never hear, "Are we there yet again?"
Yeah, it's a really cool concept. And they're right in Beverly Hills too.
Oh boy.
1 block from my office. So I kind of walk over there sometimes. But,
okay.
But I love the concept, something different, right? Because there's so many electric cars that are like, oh, our battery goes this long and, we're 0 to 60 in half a second, whatever, but something unique and different. I think that's going to help the whole EV industry kind of take off as well when there's just more creativity with that.
Okay.
And then you have the electric motorcycles as well that are starting to come out, which are kind of interesting and dumb fast. I think Harley had a spinoff of
they had an e-bike like 3 years ago.
Livewire or something like I don't know, something like that. And here in LA, there's always like Electrify events as well, which is
Electrify LA.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I went to the last one, and it was really cool seeing some of the newer stuff coming out. And I'm just like, wow, this battery technology is fascinating. How they're designing some of the cars.
But are you ready for when is it graphene or graphite? Graphene becomes the battery of choice, like one of the fundamental elements in these batteries.
Yeah, graphene is a very diverse use element. Like I have graphene in my phone case right here.
Okay.
Yep.
Hold it up. I want my uncle to see this.
So this is actually helping. This pad right here is helping to touch the S22 Ultra hotspot. Yes. And then it's using this like honeycomb stuff to dissipate a lot of that heat.
That's brilliant.
Especially here in LA where it's 110 degrees. When I'm using this case, the phone doesn't overheat anymore.
Can you give us just a 10-second explanation of what graphene is and why it's so amazing? I know I'm putting you under the gun.
Just think of it as an element that's flexible that is great at conducting heat.
Yes.
Transferring heat. All right.
Very quickly.
And it can also be used for multiple high-end pieces of technology that need that flexibility. I'll put it that way. All right. So without going into a 2-hour spiel.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, that was good. Yeah. That's awesome. Because the more you talk, the more I'm going to be like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah. All right.
And but yeah, there's the tech world is always growing. That's one reason why I love the tech world, because I like to be challenged. So in the financial world, things do change, but they tend to change fairly slowly.
Oh,
right? Occasionally you'll have the spurts of, hey, now this is happening. This is the new hotness. But then it takes a while for something else to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But and that's fine. People need diversified portfolios. You don't need things changing all the time. That's perfectly fine, especially for retirement portfolios.
Right.
But when it comes to tech, now we have all new processors by AMD coming out on the AM5 platform that are just dumb fast.
And we know how much you love your ghost processors. What are they called? Phantom processors? The ones that they pretend like they're on virtual processors or something?
Oh, yeah. There's virtual machines, and then there's like the E-cores that are efficiency cores for Intel, and those have pluses and minuses right now as well. But all new technologies, basically, and new RAM coming out, DDR5 RAM, which I've been testing lately. And it's nice to see how fast things are getting compared to when I was on a dial-up PC, going to the library to find the bulletin board numbers so I could dial in and be the only person online.
But what's interesting? Now, you said like the electric car company that could revolutionize or be the number one in 5 years may not even be out yet.
Yeah.
But just to kind of trace that back, if you remember the first few internet search engines, Metacrawler, Yahoo, Netscape. No, Netscape was just the browser, but there was like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah. Compass, I think, was another one.
Something like
Ask
that.
Jeeves. Remember
Ask Jeeves.
Yeah.
That one came in.
Yeah.
But now the only one that has a degree of relevancy is Yahoo. And then everything else is Google. So
Google,
it came
a little
late
bit
to
of
the
Bing.
game.
Little bit of Bing.
That's what my date said the other night. Just a little bit of Bing is all I was able to give her.
Hey, they'd be happy with what you got.
Okay,
Yep.
So who knows? That could be the next thing. Maybe some of these companies that you have mentioned are going to be the next big thing. You never know, but it is going to really revolutionize how we do transportation. So
like you have this whole Facebook Meta thing.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero faith in that.
Really?
Yeah. You have so many people that are like me that just don't have time to be putting on helmets and being in a metaverse type of thing. And
But what about AR?
AR,
which is augmented reality.
Augmented reality has CES 2021. If I remember correctly, this was the pure virtual CES. There was a company that had augmented reality contacts.
Oh wow!
It's all like concept, but they won the best conceptual award or something like that. But basically they showed an individual walking in Japan, crossing the street, but all the Japanese writing was translated into English, and where they needed to walk, there was showing like a green arrow going like for directions and stuff, all in the contacts. And they had like this whole thing of like how the battery is being charged, like through biofeedback energy or something like that. The Matrix stuff. I don't know. But I thought that was really cool. So when you have practical uses, now it doesn't have to be in your eyeball. It could just be in your cell phone, or you're just walking around and be like, okay, like that's what that translates to. And we have some hints of that, like the Google Translate, where you like put it up to say a poster and it can be translated. I actually do this sometimes for watching anime or something where I want to see like what they're actually saying.
Yes.
And because that translation is almost real time, which is kind of cool. And then you have the earbuds that are now like real time translation as well. Yeah. So stuff like that that's usable, that's just going to make people's lives more enjoyable through like travel and interacting with other cultures. That's what I'm looking forward to.
What do you think is going to be the biggest solution solved by tech in the next 5? Or a small problem? Or a problem?
The biggest problem we have right now, and it's not just one problem, it's a cause of many different issues. What's the temperature today?
It was 101 today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. And then how much of Pakistan was just flooded over?
About 2/3.
Yeah, something like that.
If you believe the news.
Yeah. Things are not good on planet Earth right now.
Okay.
And there's many different reasons as to why things are happening. So we need to definitely take a technological push, and I hate to say like I'm gonna sound like a tree hugging hippie.
You are
right
so
now.
polite. Oh my gosh! Are you sure you're not Canadian?
Oh yes. Well, I'm Canadian adjacent, being from Buffalo.
All right.
But we need a mental rethink of how we're living on this planet, this one planet that we have.
Right.
Yesterday, I got an alert on my phone saying, from LA, hey, the power grid's about to explode. Please turn your stuff off. It was like one of those alarms where like everybody's cell phone goes off and as if like a kid was kidnapped.
Like instead of an amber alert, it's a blue alert,
it
like
was,
electricity.
Yeah, it was the highest alert that they've ever done for the electric grid in LA. And
wow.
So I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, okay, I got all these computers, get AC on because it's hot as all what. So I'm like, okay, let me do my part. I shut down all of my computers but one.
Blue and Scorpius?
No, they're shut down. Shut them down. Just my NAS was up and running. I built a water cooled NAS. So network attached storage.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, sorry.
Thank you. I thought you were talking about.
It's my own personal server.
I thought it was a rapper.
Yeah. And I adjusted the settings on all my AC units, to put it on the efficiency mode, turn off most of the lights, and then just went about my business to do other things. And I think if more people would do that on this planet, just on a regular, that would help some. Mm-hmm. I know Vegas is doing something now with new housing where there's not going to be any new swimming pools up to a certain size.
Really?
And like no new grass on new housing lawns or something like that too.
Oh, because it uses too much moisture.
Yeah. And they said that this will save like 10% of Vegas water doing this.
And they had some serious water issues and they had that big flood last month.
Yeah, there's all kinds. Yeah, you get the flooding because the ground is so hard. When there's water, it can't seep into the ground. So that's why.
You've done your homework, man. Yeah. Dang, you don't play. You don't play. So are you going to be the first techno-ecologist?
I'm thinking of talking more about it on my platform because I've always been one where I have full faith in PCs. Like PCs, you can run 24/7 for years at a time. And that's what I do. No issues. But now the world is needing some help. So now I may shut some things off, and I do kind of monitor where I'm driving to because of fossil fuels. Gas prices were like almost $8 here, right? So
yes,
and I still drive a combustion engine car, Honda S2000.
Okay,
but so driving from here to then over there, then back over here, I'm like, okay, let me just plan my route out a little bit more, right? So saving a little bit of money, but also not damaging the environment so much. So I'm not trying to sound like a tree hugging hippie too much, but
you're being directly affected by it by living in California. Yeah. When it's in your face, it's hard to deny.
When you go to your car and it's covered in ash due to fires.
Yes.
You kind of have a little bit of a wake-up call there. When you're in Buffalo, New York, and you have 8 feet of snow in 24 hours, you're like, okay, that's not normal, right? No. And so there's things that we can still do that scientists say. Some say that, we're already kind of past the point, so now we're trying to play catch-up. So whatever tech is consistently developed, and this is going to be ongoing for the next few hundred years, to help clean our oceans, to help with our air, but to balance it out, because we don't want a movie scene of like what was that movie? Like the next Tomorrow or something
where
like that.
They were sucking all the moisture out of the ocean?
No, there was one where like the whole world just froze, so the Day After Tomorrow.
Day After Tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah. So we need to be careful.
John Cusack, if I'm not mistaken. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So we want to be careful because the environment is very delicate. Right. And we've only been around for a fraction of the existence of this planet Earth.
I think somebody was showing, and they said if the Earth, they showed the Earth's entire timeline as your arm. And don't look at my nails. So we've only been here on just the fingertip, just the tip on.
I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, we're a quick sneeze compared to the history of our solar system. So there's a lot that we need to do to just balance things out. And we have the technology. When you go to CES, Consumer Electronics Show, you see companies like Samsung that have a whole like eco-friendly section that they're really trying to develop, which is really nice to see.
And the coal truckers will still say it's all fake.
Yeah. But I don't know.
Still will.
I mean, the Earth is just as flat as this table. So, I mean,
let's not get started on that. So, DaPoets, Terrence, before I let you go, do you have any quick words, any long words that you would like for everybody to know? And also, where can they find you?
Well, you can always find me, just Google DaPoets, so I'm TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, all the socials, whatever.
The whole gamut.
Yeah, the whole gamut. So I do try to focus on educating people on tech. and more lifestyle tech in general, but definitely some deep high-end water-cooled PCs because that's fun for me, right?
All right.
And I guess a little bit of word of wisdom is just never stop learning.
So true.
There's so much to learn, so much that you could do to change who you are for the better, just from learning. And you'll be surprised how absorbed people can get into a book, whether it's paper book or audio book. Just keep learning. Never stop learning.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, this is DaPoets, Terrence McKelvey. My name is St. James. This has been the Mindreader Media Podcast, and I will see you on the next one.